Hi guys, it's Leachin Cosplay here. I'm a cosplayer from Norway and I've just made Yamato, or I'm lying if I'm saying just made because I made her to KawaiiCon, which was 2 months ago now, and then I had exams, so I didn't really have any time to film this video before now. So yeah, but this is now I'm making I have already made Yamato. The only thing I'm missing is her shoes, but yeah, I'm not going to stress with that. Perhaps I'm only going to buy some, or perhaps I will try to make some. I have already made the outline with the wood, but I'm not sure if that's going to be strong enough, so perhaps I'll just buy some. And also I made this cutie because I think that if the character has a weapon and it's possible to make it, then you should make it. So yeah, I had a fun time making her. I started out early, but even then it got late. I delayed it, I procrastinated and searched, so yeah, bad me. Bad me. So yeah, but this video series will be 6 parts. One part is the first part you are going to watch now, which is the kimono top, how I sew it and how I paint it, and how I made the pattern for it. Yes, I didn't really use a pattern for any of these parts, so I do have a rough idea on how it's going to be, but mainly I just used a square and then hollowed out these parts I didn't need, which, like this opening. Wow. English is my second language, so don't hate me for that. As I said before, I'm Norwegian, so yeah, I don't talk English on an everyday basis. Mostly once a week, with writing classes, so yeah. The second part is going to be the pants. These are my pants. I will also comment throughout parts what I would have done different if I was going to make it again, or things that I can adjust, which I'm just too lazy to do. Yeah. So yeah, this part 2 will be only red fabrics, and then part 3 will be this bow with the belt. It's quite straightforward, rectangles in the bows, slight arch in them. Yeah, you will see that in part 3, okay? Okay? So in part 4, you're going to see me style this wig, and me commenting on what I regret to have done, because the back of this shirt and some places on the bow is blue. So yeah, the wig will be there anyway when I wear it, so it's not visible, but I've made effort in making this, and then some stupid thing I did is going to ruin it. So yeah, that's a thing to note. I will comment it further in the part 3. No, part 4, sorry. In part 5 I'm going to make these horns, these golden pins there, and this cutie pie. I was also thinking of having the shoes in that, but since I haven't made them, I don't have them, and I don't have any footage of them, and as I said earlier, perhaps I'm going to buy some, so that won't be included at all. The earrings I just bought on the store, so those are not made, and I'm allergic to everything besides gold in my hair. Not silver. I haven't tried nickel free, so I can't say about that, but I can't have silver in them. So I just fasten this in the you have the air low, and then you have the backing, and the backing has like this B-shaped form. So I just put the thing that's going through the air through that one of those circles, and it's good, and it looks okay. So unless you're like up in my face, you won't notice it. The last part, the part 6, I will be getting ready with me. I filmed that today as I'm filming this intro because I needed to get into cosplay again, and I did a get ready with me for Seshomo as well, so why not do that with everything I'm going to make in the future. So yeah, you will see my bare face and my hair that is like yeah right now. So yeah. So yeah, for part 1 now, we're going to start with the kimono. It's mostly a time lapse, but I will have a voiceover. So let's go!
Voiceover Leah here. Let's talk about the kimono top. You take a white fabric. I took a non-stretchy one, which has a bit of a weight so that I know that it's like falling nicely. It doesn't really matter with the top, but with the pants it does. So this is a non-stretchy white fabric with a tad bit body in it. Just cut out your shapes. I'm always making sure that I can get the top around my hip, and then adding in darts later to shorten in the waist area. The neckline in the back is also going to be adjusted later on. I just cut it out, and when I tried it I saw that it didn't have enough of a bow, and also when I will try it now, I figured out that the armholes were too small to fit the reference. I'm trying to stay close to the reference without flashing too much, and I can do that because this is going to be secured within the hakama pants, so there should be no nipple flashing. I'm trying again, and now I'm adding in darts in the back to get that waist area a bit, to have a bit less fabric in the waist area. And now I'm going to add the front piece of the front piece. I'm not sure what to call it. It's a piece that's going, a color piece of some sort. You just follow the shape that you had from the front, and then you just add it. What's important to think about here is how wide you want it, and to add enough seam allowance. I'm actually going to cut off the top part, you can see there, because I wasn't happy with it. And now I'm just going to overlock this together in the top of the top, on the top of the top. I'm also going over the edges of the fabric with the overlocker, the edges that are not going to be sewn on later. I'm going to hand sew the front piece of the front piece on, the neckline piece on the front piece, perhaps I can call it that. just cutting off the threads. And now I'm sewing together the shoulder seam. When I'm sewing jackets and such lately, I've not chosen not to sew the side seams before after the arms are on, because I've found that it's easier to manipulate and sew the fabric when you have it more flat than if you're going to sew an arm in a circle. It's better to sew it as a C, if it makes sense. The reason I didn't sew the side seams together now is because I'm going to sew on the neckline pieces first, and it's easier to work on the flattest possible surface than to work on something that's beginning to take form and shape. Here you can see I'm also adjusting. Now I'm checking if the neckline piece is adding up with how I formed the neckline in the back, and it didn't work, so I made a new piece. I did get another seam on the shoulder, but it didn't really matter because I already had a seam there from before, and if you can do it neatly, then people won't notice. And it's just a cosplay, but just a cosplay is kind of wrong word to use, isn't it? Yeah. So it's fine. Now I'm sewing on the neckline pieces to the top, and I'm making sure that the top is facing outwards, so that when I'm sewing on this piece, it's like going on the inside, but you have to turn it and then you get a seam. Yeah, the seam is on the pretty side of the top, but you're going to fold that in, so then the seam will be hidden. And once you have folded that in, I'm going to fold once more, just a tiny bit, to then hand sew that on. I'm adding some needles to make sure that the fabric is in place when I'm sewing it on. Oh, I love the One Piece soundtracks, they're so beautiful. And some of them are super sad, but this one is like nice, it's cozy. I'm now sewing the sides together because I don't have any arms to attach, because I chose to make the version without the arms. And then comes the long hours of hand sewing. I hand sew the entire shoulder seam, I guess. The arm toe seam. I like folded it in once, then folded it in once more to have a completely hidden seam. I did this to, I could have glued it together, but I did this to make sure that it was strong, and I didn't want any seams to be shown. Now I'm actually sewing in the darts and not just having some needles. I've poked myself on them way too many times. It's important to secure the top and the end when you're sewing darts. Now I'm also going to sew the bottom edge. I chose to have a seam there because the only places where you can actually see the bottom is in the side view panels on the pants. And it's most likely going to be paint there, so I don't think anyone will notice. It's okay with some seams. I actually saw one cosplayer that had just frayed edge on the armhole. So that's also an option. I chose to have a nice neatly edge. Right now I'm making the sketch to how I want the paint to go. I do check some more reference photos because I'm not too sure if this was like okay to do or if I should adjust it. So I could definitely have made it more a bit different to have even more. If you've seen some of the photos from the manga, you can see that it's a bit different than the design I draw here. But again, it's not going to show too much of the design. So I guess it's up to you. I took some freedom to have my own take on it, not follow the book completely because I want it to look nice. Paint, paint, paint. I'm just using acrylic paint. Yeah, it's satisfying to see that it's taking shape. I'm quite happy with the paint job I did and how the result turned out. I really like the front piece, so it's a bit sad that it doesn't show because the pants are covering it. You can see that I made one of those D shapes. I've seen some photos that have those D shapes on quite many of those. I'm not sure what to call it. Waves, smoke. The design at least had way more of those D's than I had in the design of my wave. I'm not sure. Paint, paint, paint. The color as well, I think, depending on which reference you're looking at, sometimes it's a bit more light blue. I just decided to go with this dark blue because on the photo I was looking at it was quite dark. And I thought of painting the back as well, but then I remembered that yeah, I'm going to have a wig and I'm going to have that bow belt, so the back is not going to show at all. So let's save time and not paint that. I think the original kimono that Yamato has the design all the way around. But yeah, I'm saving time and not painting where it's not visible. Yeah, and don't paint the last panel because this fabric is a tad bit see-through. So if I begin to paint on the other side as well, then I would have seen that through the overlapping piece. Now I'm doing the design she has on her breast on each side. Checking the size and if I like it. And if I like it, then I'm going to use it. I'm also measuring around where I want the design to be. Later now, I would have wished that I've just had it a half a centimeter more towards the outside and not the inside, because when I'm like making the kimono stay snugly on my body, they are a bit more together than I want them to be. So yeah, make sure that when you're adding these two pieces that you try to not have them too much towards the middle and yeah, make much many measurements before you're happy with where you want it. I'm just using a black fabric pen for this design thing. It turned out a bit gray, black grayish. It's doable. I could have gone in with black paint, but yeah, I was happy with it and I didn't want to smudge it out because I'm not precise enough. Now we're just missing the red part, which is going to be on the inside of this kimono. Later, I've thought about it, just having the whole inside red, like having the red fabric as the lining. Then you won't have to think about the white fabric being a tad bit see-through. And cut out all the pieces. You have to have 2 of each, because you're going to have a fold on the outside and you want that to be nice and neat. No seams showing. So sewing them together on the shoulder seam and then sewing the 2 pieces together on both sides, leaving the ends open. There's no point of sewing the ends together, sewing shut end, because you're going to cut them shorter later anyways. Now we're just going to sew the other side and then needle it on. And then needle it on, come on. Yes, of course we have to turn it inside out and then iron it before we can needle it on the kimono top, but we're going to do that. I used some baking paper to protect my iron while ironing the paint. I'm making sure that the paint is like really snugly on there, sitting, and it got a nicer surface after ironing. So now we're pinning the red fabric to the white, and I didn't sew this on all the way down because when you're looking at the photo, the red is crossing the red and then the white is on top, and the white is never behind the red, so I wanted to have that same effect, as if she was having 2 kimonos on her. Yeah, and if you had the red fabric as lining, then you wouldn't have to hand sew the armhole. I think I actually could have saved some time just doing that. I added snake cut in the red fabric on the inside there because it was, when I had it on, it was bulking up because it didn't have enough fabric right there. So, but that little cut helped very much. And it's not something you can see, so I just left it be. You could have made it again, and this is the result. So, burning the cosplay. Dun dun dun. But yeah, it's done. And thank you so much for watching.